Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Impressions Podcast. My name is Delia Valdez, if you remember me from a last episode. I'm here again, of course, with everyone's favorite, Xavi.
I wish I was everyone's favorite, but
sure
you're taking my spotlight now.
Well, girls got to do what girls got to do.
Hey, you know what? Dibs.
And you're probably wondering who this fella is right next to us. This is going to be our special guest, Shayn Mitchell, today. He is going to be the CEO of Icon Industries.
I'm going to be.
Well, you are. But you are the CEO.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for
Welcome
being
to the studio.
Here. How's your day been?
I can't complain. Still above ground.
Well, yeah.
Every day above ground's a good one.
See, that's the best thing about actually being on the show. For all the personalities that we pull on here, to actually be the person that brings podcasts to life, media to life in general. Yeah. How does that feel?
Oh, it's great. I love it. Being, doing what we do, we see so many brands, so many people come through. The cool thing is when someone comes in and says, hey, I have an idea, but they don't know what they're doing. So we get to sit down with them and actually start putting, a plan together, action steps, put it all together for them, and then see them just light up and glow with it. Like, oh my God, this might actually happen. It's powerful. I enjoy it.
That's actually so cool. What made you get into videography and this being your sole project?
Well, you see, I used to be an electromechanical engineer.
Oh, wow.
And I used to travel all over the world. I've been, over 100 countries. And I became a single father, sole custody of both my kids, and couldn't travel anymore.
Wow.
At one point, prior to quitting my job, I had made a movie with a bunch of friends and got hooked on videography and the whole process. It was crazy. We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of fake blood everywhere. It was great. We made a comedy horror film, and gotcha. I was just hooked on it from that point on. So as I was, several years of just tinkering with it as a hobby, when it came time to quit my job, I was like, okay, well, I enjoy doing this, so let's throw both feet in and see where we go. Started off with a little 300 square foot office, and now I'm in a whole brick and mortar building that got the whole building to ourselves.
So it was your plan to kind of have a place where people can go express themselves and be able to do something like this, like a podcast.
Yeah. So prior to COVID, when we actually opened the doors to this location, January 2020, and when we opened the doors, it was supposed to be a creative co-working space where you paid a membership. And you got to use the studio, and there was a couple of offices that you can, hot seat offices, stuff like that. And March of 2020, that quickly came to an end. As people didn't want to be around people. And so when we closed our doors and reopened in July, retooled the whole system, took out a couple of the offices, made another studio, which is the studio we're in today. This used to be 2 offices, and retooled as, really focusing on what was working for us at the time. Was we were doing a lot of podcasts for people. We had just one little studio, and then we were doing primarily audio, but we saw the trend of video podcast. So we were like, we really need to get in front of this. And so we pretty much opened up the first video podcast rental studio in San Diego. And, there's other studios where you could just rent their studio, but we were purpose built for podcasting and video podcasts. So
it's so cool. It's so unique, and such a smart idea too.
Pioneers.
Yeah.
And it's taken off. People love the idea, and, they come in the studio and they can, we have 2 studios with 4 different sets that can be customized for whatever their brand, anything like that. So it's really worked out.
Barbie's in right now, so. Yeah. You're going to have to throw Barbies up on here. Well,
or Barbenheimer.
Oh. Can do another comedy horror.
There we go.
Hey, they got Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead, yeah.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Look,
it was another story.
Know what that is?
It is an amazing movie.
It's a great zombie flick with Sean Pegg, or Simon Pegg, sorry.
Simon Pegg?
Simon Pegg plays a character named Sean.
Yeah.
And is it a horror comedy as well?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's more comedy than horror.
Okay.
You know the guy from like Mission Impossible?
Q.
Yeah, Q, right?
Yeah, he played Q in Mission Impossible. He, you know who Simon Pegg is, though, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. He played Scotty in Star Trek.
Scotty.
And this is when we feel old.
Well, to be fair, no. To be fair, friends, no, anybody will be like, "Hey, how was that movie? Did you like that movie? The new movie came out." I'm like, there was a movie that came out. I don't watch movies. Everyone thinks I'm psycho about it. I don't know. It's just like a trend that people hop on, but
yeah.
I don't know. I get thrown off, but I'm sure Simon's
my
cool.
my business partner is the same way, so he doesn't watch movies either.
No? Okay,
No,
see?
but he makes them. So go figure.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need that outside opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It's a niche.
It's like making tacos and not eating the taco.
Yeah.
I could never.
It's always unique.
No, definitely not on Tuesdays either.
Not on Tuesdays.
Well, it's depending on the perspective. And that kind of does allude to a lot of things, though, like with having a complete staff here, right? Mm-hmm. And all of their experiences. It is a very, very unique concept that you have. But what separates you from every other studio that's now rising and basically trying to compete in this market?
So we have a full done-for-you model, right? So the studio was built to be DIY to done for you. However, we've found that more people are appreciating the done for you model that we've created. So, our clients they come to the studio is set up for them, ready to go. They sit down, they record, and then they leave. And then within a few days, they get a rough cut of the episode, and they get to make their feedback on it. We make any changes that they would like. We do deal with some people that have, they have to be regulated by compliance and stuff like that. So, sometimes it goes through a compliance check and things like that. If any changes need to be made, we make those changes. Then we do the final color grade and audio and, final render of the episode, give it to them. We either deliver for them to upload themselves, or we even go as far as doing the delivery, uploading it to whatever platform it needs to go to, whether that be for video syndication or audio syndication. We even we have some clients where we're doing all the booking for them, where we book the guest on the podcast. So it's literally a hands-off process for them. They are just the talent. Yeah.
So it's a plug and play.
Correct.
Oof.
And it just, some people prefer that, and they really enjoy the benefit of having, a nice experience here, a great experience for their guests when they come in. They're greeted. We have people in the lobby. We have a nice presentation when they're here. And so we really focus on not only the experience of the hosts of the shows, but also their guests. Make sure that they enjoy the experience coming into the studio, which then amplifies the host.
You can't beat that.
Yeah.
Wow. To me, if I'm already here on the show though, right? But from the outside looking in, like mini Xavi to looking at me, the new me, right? I'm like, wow, the amount of cost, the price, setup, personnel. Can I make this happen? You're basically making a whole Disney dream happen in front of the eyes of your client.
Correct.
I would be remiss if I didn't say that, hey, you're a dream creator.
Yeah. A lot of what we do is kind of priceless, the hands-on effort that we have, the staff we have here, try and replicate this for yourself and your brand. There's a learning curve. You have to learn how to do podcasting. There's an art and a science to it that we've mastered. You have to hire staff and crew, purchase, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment, and, build out a space for it. You know, so having a dedicated space with all the equipment, all the staff, everyone all ready to go, and all you do is you pay a monthly fee. It's almost stupid to try and do it on your own.
It's like you have all of this. Why would you try to do it out of your closet?
Yeah.
Which I attempted to do and failed miserably at. I don't know. Someone said the clothes help. I don't think the clothes help.
Yeah, when you get into the art and science of sound treatment, how sound waves reflect and reverberate around a room, how it's picked up in the microphone, the different pattern types of a microphone. People just think you put a microphone out there and that's all you did, but there's actually art and science that goes into the microphone. Exactly.
Definitely one of those people.
This is a specific microphone that we've chosen because this is actually a competitor to you see everyone with the SM7B, the Shure microphone. Sure. This one blows it out of the water, but people don't know about this one because they just see other podcasters with the SM7B. SM7B was designed as a vocal mic to be sung into at high volumes, not to be spoken into at normal speaking volumes. Wow. So now there's extra equipment that is involved with that microphone. It's called a cloud lifter, just to bring it up to audio level to be usable for a podcast.
So just because it's trendy, they make everything. So it's kind of like the iPhone.
Yeah.
Everybody got one, might as well get it too. Oh, wait a minute, don't forget the charger that doesn't fit any other charging thing. I got you. I completely get it.
Yeah, we've done all the research and we've done everything so that when you come in here, it's the perfect experience.
That's actually, what is it? Stress relieving.
Yeah.
What we talk about, I think, the last podcast, to make an impression, we have to pick products that make it easier on the guests, hosts, the guests that we bring in. But I'm dying to know, what is the hardest thing? Would it be clients coming in, bringing them in? Would it be the sound, the audio? I mean, you've had so much experience.
Yeah. Well, the hardest thing is, getting the client to dream bigger. Okay. A lot of people think that, they have the field of dreams experience. If I build it, they will come. And so, when people sit down with us, we go into a strategy where we're talking about, okay, yeah, you have the idea for a podcast, but who's going to listen to it? Why are they going to listen to it? What avenues are you going to use to actually syndicate it? Are you going to look for sponsorship, or are you just going to try and monetize? What's your plan going out beyond the first recording?
Gotcha.
How are you planning on promoting it? There's a lot that goes into a strategy for launching a podcast. A lot of people think, I'll just record one this week or record one next week. No, you want to bulk record. You want to record a couple episodes at a time. That way you free up the rest of your month. If you plan on putting out one episode a week, that's 4 episodes you have to record. If you do that in 2 settings, you only spend, there's a lot of time working up to the episode, the preamble, getting up before you hit the record button. But if you batch record, that preamble is cut down to just once versus doing it each and every time. Right. So yeah, when you have a new guest on, you want to build a rapport with them. You want to do that. You either do that before the recording or right when they show up. Right.
Right.
And I know with you guys have the pre-recording meeting. So it makes it a little simpler. So when they come and sit down, it's quick turnaround.
Because we're bosses like that.
Exactly.
Organization.
Yeah, there's just a lot. Just getting them to dream bigger and to understand that, there's work that goes into it. A podcast is not easy. It's not easy. And so, yeah, it's just get them to dream and actually realize the scope of work and what's going to go into this and to be prepared for it.
Wow. Yeah, I feel
overwhelmed.
Like just sitting here listening, just a bit. I'm just kind of like, and you take it, like a grain of salt. Like you got it, you handled it, and I'm just like, what was the first one that you were talking about? The first step.
Step one.
I mean,
write it down. But I would like to say across the board, even within all of that concept, organizing all these people, finding the right engineer, the right staff. How did you do that? Like, Was it LinkedIn? What was your forum?
So I've done, well, so let's step back a little bit to 2017. And I actually had created a meetup group from meetup.com. And I was in a different location at the time at a different studio. And I created this meetup group, and I was like, I'm going to put together a meetup group of creative people. I just want to meet creative people that want to understand and do the business side of things. And when I did that, a couple of people came to it and it started growing. And then I met this guy named Stephen Porter. And Stephen was really apt on the technical side of everything. And I was like, I want to do so. So then a job came in, and I hired Stephen to work with me on this job. And I decided at that point, I was like, I like this guy. I want to work more with him. And the funny thing is Stephen joined the meetup group because he doesn't like the business side of growing a media company. Mm-hmm. And so he went to the meetup group trying to find people that were interested in the business side of things. Okay. So we both had the same idea with, obviously, I wanted someone to help do the grunt work, if you will. And I'm focused, that way I can focus on building a business and building an empire. And so it was just like synergistic, right? And so when I left the location I was in and started building this location, Stephen joined me. And at the time we ran 2 companies for 3 years. We had Cypher Studios and his company was UDA Media, both running out of this building. So the building was Cypher Studios and the production team was UDA Media. And so we did that for several years working together, and it worked great. And so, last year I decided to make the the leap and actually merge our companies. And that's where Icon Industries came from. It was birthed from that. So, and then over the last year and a half to almost 2 years, I've been focusing on growing the team strictly by referral. So we've had Antoine join us. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Antoine, I know you're going to be editing this. We had Antoine join us. Sure. So he came in, interned with us as a audio engineer. Okay. So his background is in the church, doing the audio production side of the house, and he wanted to learn more. And so he came in, started learning, and then within a couple of weeks, I started paying him to do smaller jobs, and then he's just really learned and taken a hold of several things, and now he's one of our main editors. And so he's editing podcasts, he's editing audio, he's learning to operate cameras and shoot stuff. So he's growing with the company. And then he's referred a couple of people that have joined our team. Mia, she's one of our cinematographers. We now have another business dev guy. Unfortunately, his name is Shayn as well. So it gets a little confusing.
He's unfortunate. He said, "Hey man,
same spelling,
different spelling." He spells it the wrong way.
Oh, A-N-E.
A-N-E. Yeah. A-N-E. We have a couple of guys like Jamie, our project manager. We have James, who's our drone operator. And then we have a couple of other people that are hired on a per job basis, and then we have a constant flow of interns coming here in the studio. Growing it, when I bring someone in and I interview, it's like they have to understand the vision and the dream, because what I'm building is bigger than us right now, and it's just going to keep getting bigger, especially as we expand nationwide, and so they have to understand where we're at right now and what I'm going to expect from them, and know that they're going to be. My whole goal is to grow them as a leader because I want them to be leaders in the company.
Oh,
I love the way you put that. I'm sorry, I got so much energy there because with our pre-recorded meetings, I have my assistant Camille. Hey, Camille, how you doing? Developing my staff ultimately just makes the company overall better,
right?
And as a leader, that's the greatest thing that we could want is enriching, emboldening, empowering our employees,
Yeah.
and making them future leaders of the company.
Exactly.
Right. You want that continuity.
Yeah.
And it seems to me like, as you're explaining your story and how passionate you are, from each individual person that joined you on your quest. I'm sorry, video gamers. I'm a video gamer too. Right. It seems like you went through a few side quests.
Oh yeah.
And pulled this together, created your
Most
own
definitely.
team, and it's gone phenomenal.
Yeah. It's been great. Like I've been, focusing on building my team as much as building the business, because as soon as my team is, when I get to the point where I'm handing things over and things are just getting done, the transition from business, from a prospect to a client to in production and deliverables, I want that as seamless as possible. And I want our clients to have an experience that is seamless. They know they can talk to anyone in the company. They know they can come to me. They know, Jamie's the one who's going to contact them and coordinate everything. They know Antoine's the one who's going to be editing stuff. So when there's editing questions, they refer to him. And, part of that too is I have a, powerful system, powerful online system that actually helps manage all that. But training everyone, getting everyone on board with it. And the biggest thing is making sure that they have the vision that I have. If they share the vision with me, then we're all going to grow together.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep saying all, but it's just so inspirational. And like, it just sounds like you genuinely care. And I feel like that's what you need when you actually want to build something that's beautiful. You sound like you just want to give people an opportunity to learn, to grow alongside you. And that's
a leader, a leader always leads from the front, lead by example, lead from the front. If I couldn't be one of those people that just says, hey, do this, and then not,
stand in the back. Like
yeah.
As managers. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And then I hope that inspires them to be a leader that is leading from the front as well.
Yeah.
That's just my philosophy and how I've, done it through military to now,
Yeah, you both have military background. I just had my dad. He should have been in the military. He would have been everybody in check.
See?
He had no problem with the cadets.
Yeah.
That's what you call them, right? Cadets.
Depends on which branch of service. You have Marines, you got soldiers, you got airmen,
you got sailors.
Sailors.
You know what? I'm just gonna shut up.
Cadets is more like the ROTC.
Oh my gosh.
It's all right. It's all right. They're in training. They're in process.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We're getting there.
In preschool. Love that.
But I do have another question for you, and this would suit a lot of the business owners out there. At the end of the day, it all comes down to money, right? What are some avenues of approach that you could direct to these aspiring podcasters, these aspiring entrepreneurs to monetize their experience?
So it depends on what your podcast is. Like if you're using a podcast as like a biz dev tool, obviously you can see the ROI by generating leads, right? If you're using this as like just a informative, I'm the SME, I'm the subject matter expert, I'm putting this information, I'm giving value added information to grow myself as a brand, the ROI is going to be coming from your brand exposure and people recognizing your brand. Then if you're doing this as a, what are those, the popular, murder mystery, podcast, stuff like that, you're going to go for sponsor.
Bailey Sarian.
You're going to go for like sponsorships or stuff like that until you grow to meet the thresholds of monetization for the platforms that you're on, right? We've had one podcast that was monetized within 30 days on YouTube, right? She had the benefit of already having a significant following, but within, I think it was like 3 weeks, they had already hit all the thresholds for monetization on YouTube by having an hour-long podcast that people were listening to, doing the shorts, getting the 1,000 subscribers, doing all that stuff. and doing the call to actions, that thing. I think, the strategy for monetization, and even understanding whether you are using it to monetize needs to be planned out before you even record the first episode.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I would say the easiest one you could do is getting sponsorship. If that's, getting if you wanted like a net zero podcast, meaning that it doesn't cost you anything.
Mm-hmm.
When you start off and you have no followers, you have to try and pitch your podcast to a sponsor and talk about why they would, be, what benefits they get from being a sponsor. So you want to have that plan ahead of time of, this is our path to growth. This is our, that whole strategy we were talking about ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've sold podcasts to sponsors without having a single episode recorded yet, because we've had that plan, and so it's important just to know what you're going to do ahead of time.
Planning.
Yeah.
That is the focus in the beginning in order to have a successful path.
Right.
Yep.
That's one of the big benefits of hiring someone like me. We can get you to net zero or net positive, So net zero means that at the end of the day, it didn't cost you anything.
Ask for you guys.
Net positive means you're actually turning a profit.
Gotcha.
Right.
And net zero is just...
Net zero means it doesn't cost you anything. So then it's all the cost associated with doing that is covered.
Gotcha.
So in for business, that means you're not gaining a profit, but you're still getting the benefit of the exposure and the effort that's going in, and it will turn into a net positive, right? Gotcha. So you'll start off at a net negative, meaning it's costing you out of pocket, get to a net zero, then it doesn't cost you anything, net positive, you just turn profit.
I understand. This helped a lot.
It's all about the visuals.
Oh, you seem like a visual person. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
But the thing that I have on my mind is, there's a lot of experiences that you're having within the podcast, outside of the podcast, with your team.
Yeah.
I believe that there are some major memorable moments that occur on your show. I believe you have a podcast out right
Correct.
now too.
Yeah, the Evolve Your Brand podcast.
Yeah, can you talk about that?
So the Evolve Your Brand podcast is our biz dev podcast, right? So we are a studio, we are a production team. So, for us, we use our podcast as a platform. So we're talking about the monetization of it earlier, right? So we use our podcast as a platform where we invite guests to come onto our podcast at no cost to them, right? And then we do a show all about them and their business and their products. And then we take that, obviously we produce the episode, we create plenty of snippets or short form content that we then give to them that they can share through their social media and grow, to lead back to the podcast. They get to use that podcast as a tool for, showing off what they do. They can link it to their website. They can put it on their social media, however they want to utilize it. It's a tool that we've given them for free.
I like that.
Right. But the benefit to us, this is where we this is how we monetize it, is now they've experienced being in the studio. When they get here, I give them a question of like, what could you do with this studio if you had access to it? Right. How would you benefit from a podcast? And I have a, how to put this, I have a captured audience in the studio where I get to, basically pitch what we do.
So you have a no excuse model, especially for the ones, trying to do their podcast out of their garage, on a couch, not casting couch or anything, but in different places, different locations, right? I'm just keeping it PG, right? But you're giving them a reason and a place to actually be so that they can propose their goals and their dreams.
Yeah. And we're giving them a free sample.
I don't know about you, but when was the last time you heard free?
Yeah.
right now in this economy.
And it's guided. We have a professional host, so they're going to walk you through, you're going to get the whole experience of what our done for you service is, because you're going to be booked by our project manager. You're going to receive the pre-production emails. You're going to receive the emails after you are on there, where you get to actually review the episode, make any changes you want to make. That whole experience is done as a, we give it away for free for the first, for coming in and checking out the studio.
So lavish.
I love it. So, I mean, in a way, it's kind of like you're giving a VIP treatment.
Yeah.
But you're making them iconic.
Yeah, that's our whole thing. We build more than brands. We build icons.
Way to leave an impression.
I like that. I like that. Hey, iconic impressions. Look at that. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay.
You're thinking with your head now. But appreciate it.
But ultimately, like, what was the most memorable experience you've ever had doing podcasting?
He's like, one time I was on this podcast called the Impressions Podcast.
It's there's been a lot of like great experiences, a lot of cool people coming in. For instance, as a fellow military person,
you're welcome.
The when I was in the Army umpteen million years ago, I was stationed in Germany as part of 1st Armored Division.
They still have scrolls, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hear ye, hear ye. At the time, the division sergeant major was Sergeant Major Jack Tilley.
Okay.
Sergeant Major Jack Tilley went on from there to become the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army.
Impressive.
Well, we ended up producing a podcast for the 12th Sergeant Major of the Army called Your Next Mission, in which he flew out from Florida every quarter to come here to the studio to record the podcast. Wow. And so we've had, through that, we were live streaming with the Pentagon, big brass, right?
That's what I'm talking about.
And so we've had, those kind of guests come in. We've had some, powerful people. We've even had Snoop Dogg's family in here.
That's what I'm talking
we've
about.
had his son and his dad in here on another podcast. Cool. Shout out Corday.
He's like, remember me.
So, it's just been, it's powerful what having a podcast can do for you and your brand, because it's easy to invite it. I mean, how hard is it to say, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? You know what I mean? And it's powerful how many people just say yes, and so it's a great lead gen tool. It's a great credibility builder. For us, we call it a force multiplier. You do the effort one time and you get multiple pieces of content out of it. Right. So, and it grows your business. It grows your authority. So it's the most powerful tool to grow your authority online right now.
Is podcasting.
Yeah.
And you would just, hey man, join my podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of why I'm here. Or how I'm here. How you're here.
Yeah. If you have a, like, say, a business related podcast, or there is, if you're, in the real estate industry, right, and you want to try and say you're a service provider for the real estate, you're a lender, you're a title rep, you're all these other different things, right? Now you can just start inviting real estate agents that you're not currently working with on your podcast. Now you've sat down, talked to them, given them value by being on your podcast. But now you say, hey, why don't we work together?
Collaboration, opening up your market.
Networking.
Yeah, it's powerful what you can do. And people, hey, you want to be on my podcast? Yeah, sure.
They're like, oh my gosh, you have a podcast?
Yeah. And it doesn't matter your numbers.
It's network marketing.
Yeah.
Across the board.
I'm just at the top of the pyramid.
Yeah. I had an Austin Powers reference, but totally inappropriate. But with that being said, I hate to bring everything to a close. I do want to take the opportunity to thank you, Shayn, for actually hopping on the show. I know both you and your team are excessively busy, both on on behalf of myself and Delia and the rest of our viewers, we love you, right?
Appreciate it.
And you're always making the right impression. But for the essence of the show, we're just going to stay iconic on this one.
Yeah, the iconic impression.
Ooh.
You like that flame? Let us take the opportunity to thank our sponsors across the board. Without you, we would not get paid. But just kidding. Just throwing that out there. We love you anyway. And for our guests, without you, we would have no views, but we love you all. We hope you learned something. Shayn, you got anything?
Like, follow, and subscribe for more.
Yup. Hit that like.
Hit that bell.
Delia, what you got? Send us home.
Bell? Well, we'll just be here when we be here. We'll see you guys next time. Definitely. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
See you next time.
See you next time.